Hello! I'm going to interrupt the regular scheduled van build video and bring you an important backpacking information. And that is, after all this time, after everybody has done this already, I am going to seam seal my Lanshan 2 Pro, two-person Pro tent. So I know everybody has done this, but I feel kind of obligated. I have to my subscribers who have purchased this tent, also to the people who haven't subscribed and has purchased this tent due to my previous videos on promoting the Lanshan 2 Pro and the Lanshan 2 Regular. So I am going to seam seal it today. And so what do I need? Well, I need my 3F UL Gear Lanshan 2 tent, some trekking poles, some stakes. I've got my silicone tent sealant. Now, seems to be that everybody uses this, or if you have something better, that's great. I use this. I'm going to use this. It seems like it's pretty good. So if you got something better, good for you. Use that. I will put a link to this down below if you're interested in getting this. I think it's available through Amazon, and it comes in a 1.5 ounce, which should be more than enough. It has a little applicator brush on it, but I'm also going to use this creepy little applicator here that came with the Lanshan 2 Pro for seam sealing, obviously. So I'll put some seam seal in this, I'll spread it down along the seams and wherever I want it, and then I'll take and brush it in with the brush. So let's get this going. I won't bore you with the setup of the tent. I'll just fast forward through all that. If you want to see any of that, go to any of my previous videos. As a matter of fact, I'll put a card up here to the video where I compared the Lanshan 2 Regular to the Lanshan 2 Pro. So without further ado, let's seam seal this tent. All right, she's all set up. Yeah, I'll tell you the truth, this just seems a lot easier to set this one up. But anyway, before we get into this, I just want to point out that when you do your seam sealing, I would recommend highly to make, even at this time, make your tent as taut as possible and pull out as many as those wrinkles and everything that you can, because you want to get a good lay on the seam seal. You don't want it to get caught in any crevices, and then when it is pulled out tight, those areas may be exposed to moisture intrusion. So let's go ahead and get this started. I'll point out a few areas and that I'll do. I won't make you go through the whole thing, but I'll take you step by step from the areas that I do. I think the first part I'm going to do, since there is no ridge line on the Pro, the water will basically come off this way, but it could gather underneath these seams here. So I think I'll start from the top, work my way down this seam and along the other side, and go back on the other side and do the same thing. So let's get started, and then eventually I'll end up down here along there. So let me get my little mixture together, and we'll go ahead and do this. So what I got here is this plunger. What I'm going to do is just pull that out, and I already perforated the seal in the top of this. Let's go ahead and squeeze this mixture down in there. Let's see, I filled it up about not quite halfway. Put the cap on the remainder. You don't want that to dry up. Let's insert our plunger again. All right, so I've got the brush, the plunger. You can see it's starting to, wait, there you go, it's starting to fall out of there already. So I'm going to get going on this. So like I said, I'm going to start up here and go over the threading of the seams. That's where the perforation is. So I'm going to just go ahead and put a small little bead, make sure I cover it all. Right here there is some wrinkles in it, so I'll make sure I'll spread that out good. So I want to go all the way around the threads, because like I said, that's where the perforation was, and just make sure you got enough on there. Then I would take this little brush, try to do it as neat a job as I can here, and kind of brush that along the area. All right, so when you want to get the excess, so you don't want it dripping down onto the tent, because that just looks nasty. So make sure it's covered real well. You know, I bring it up this way, take the excess off, and so you get the idea on that. So let's move ahead and go down one of the seams. So there's a seam that comes off of this that comes right down the side that has been stitched. So I'm going to take my applicator and I'm going to run it down along this seam here. And this little applicator works really, really well. It pinpoints so you're not globbing it in certain areas. So I would recommend using this. I seam sealed my other tent. I just slopped stuff on. It worked, but it wasn't pretty. It looks like a mess. So let's bring it back up. We'll make sure we got enough seam seal on this. Again, I'm going to take my brush. I'm going to come down. I'm going to work that in that seam right there. These are probably the most important ones of the tent, because if it leaks, it's going to leak from above. So there you go. Let me go ahead and work down the other edge. Move this camera around. Doing this and filming is a little difficult, and I'll try not to get into your way here. So I left off right about here. I'm going to continue this bead all the way down the side. And I'll probably speed this up for you guys, because you get the idea. And then I'll point out some other areas around these little tabs. I'll probably get in behind this tab and in front of this little tab pull out here. Just make sure you're getting enough seam seal on that whole area. So there's some stitching down here. I'll bring it out kind of on that angle down here. If you can see this, I doubt if you can see down here, but you get the idea. So now, again, I'll start from where I left off up here. I'll work this seam seal into the tent. Make sure you cover those stitching real well. This water will get up and underneath here, so you want to make sure that this area is done, especially done well. And in behind these tabs, up and underneath this little flap, and work it all the way up and down. Now, I just came down from there all the way down and start to work my way in. So now what I'll do is, I'll come all along this seam here, all the way across, and I'll especially do around this tie out right here. at this point right now, I've got about this much left. So it should be enough to go along the bottom. And we'll work this in. See these patches down here? Now they fall outside of the inside portion of the tent. They kind of, let me show you. They kind of, there's a screening in there. So anything that leaks down in there, I'm going to not do those unless I have enough at the end. I want to make sure I have enough. I'm just going to cover the areas that really go to the inside of it. What I had some left over, so what I did is I did along here, and I also did along the inside flap. Now, this is the vestibule. If it leaks in there, I guess it's not a big deal, but I keep my gear in there sometimes, my backpack. Dexter sleeps under there, so I didn't feel like I needed to do the inside part because this kind of folds over and Velcro. So if it really rained hard, he'd be underneath there anyway. So I just did on the outside of that and down along the bottom there. So that's it. As you can see, everything is nice and seam sealed. We'll see. And I guess the true test is when it rains. Well, there you go. She's all seam sealed. I had some left. I put some extra where I really didn't need it, but I kept some extra so if I do find a leak somewhere, I can come back and hit those spots. I'd recommend after you're using this to pull it apart and soak it in something, get it really cleaned in case you ever want to use it again, because it will get all gooked up on you. Same thing with the little brush. Maybe put it in some acetone or whatever, to clean it up in the hot water soap. Oh, that's it. She's seam sealed. So I think I'm ready now for our trip. Like I said, we are going to take the maiden voyage of Smokey. Like I said, we named our van. I guess everybody names their van and van things. Smokey, not a really original, but who gives a rat's ass? I like it. So does Nancy. So we're going up Tennessee, so we like the Smoky Mountains, so we're going to call our van the Smokey. So we're taking Smokey on our maiden voyage. Like I said, I'm going to drop Nancy off at Hilton Head. I'm going to head out for about 3 or 4 days, maybe meet up with some other YouTubers. We'll see if that works out. If not, it's okay too. And I'll be on my own. Dexter's going to be staying with Nancy. Then I'm going to come back. I'm going to be picking her up with Dexter, and we're going to head out across to Tennessee to the area where we want to purchase some property, and we're going to check out that whole area. This will be the first time we're really checking out this area that I've been pinpointing. I'm going to look for some state parks or maybe somewhere around Cherokee National Forest, or I don't know yet. But we're in no rush. We're going to have the van probably half done, but just enough to have electricity, a little bit of electricity, the fans installed. We'll also have our bed installed, and we'll see what happens between now and then. I found out today my insulation's arriving. It's called Thinsulate, and that's a great news because that's been holding us up a lot. So anyway, that's it. I'll return you now to your regular scheduled programming on the van build. Thanks guys for watching and following Walker's World. Please subscribe. Got some great videos coming up, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye. All right, this is about 4 hours later, and set up real nice. As you can see, it's shiny there. It's not tacky. It's got a nice layer of seam seal on it, and that's about 4 hours. I'll give it another couple hours. Doesn't look like it's going to rain or anything right now, so anyway, that's a finished product.